Everybody to the May 14th, 2026 Public Works Committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Parker.
Here.
Parker.
I answered. I was Parker for a long time, and now I'm Tice, but that's fine. I know I am.
Alderwoman Gold.
Here.
Alderman Meyer.
Here.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Here.
There's a quorum.
Thank you. Move on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes, or if not, can we approve by acclamation? Okay, we've approved. Moving on to citizen comment. Anybody from the audience or online that would like to speak for up to 3 minutes, please state your name and your address.
Hello, can you hear me? Sorry. My name is Christine Maida. My address is 8538 Eulalie. Okay, so I am a Brentwood resident, a master's student in sustainability management, and a member of the city's Sustainability Commission. I'm here today to advocate for the creation of a sustainability dashboard, an investment that would improve transparency, strategic planning, and long-term sustainability stewardship here in Brentwood. I believe this was already spoken about, and I kind of just want to bring it back to the forefront because municipalities across the country, including peer communities such as Columbia, Missouri, are already using the KLA Sustainability Dashboard to organize data, track progress, and communicate results. Brentwood is already taking tons of meaningful and tangible action through sustainable design and development and even policy. But a dashboard would provide an opportunity to build on that work by measuring our progress and clearly communicating it to residents. I'm sure you've all heard, you can't effectively manage what you don't measure, and I kind of feel like we're in that situation right now. We already have an incredible published sustainability plan with detailed goals and a great vision for our future, which includes reducing the city's carbon footprint, lowering emissions, raising sustainability awareness, and investing in that sustainable future. A dashboard is that tool that turns our goals into measurable outcomes that we can then prove, and share with all of the citizens. I recognize that this requires both upfront and ongoing investment, and I would like to highlight that Brentwood has already demonstrated success in leveraging grants and other external funding to support sustainability initiatives. Establishing this consistent data strengthens the city's ability to pursue future funding opportunities and demonstrate measurable impact. Ultimately, this dashboard would give Brentwood the ability to make more informed decisions, identify efficiencies, improve accountability, and plan more effectively for the future. And I just encourage and ask this board to consider this as a practical next step in advancing our existing sustainability goals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Annie Perrine, and I'm also on the Sustainability Commission. I live at 2004 Spanish Drive, and I am really amazed at all the initiatives that we have in Brentwood, and I'm also amazed at how often I talk to people in my neighborhood and in the community about those initiatives, and they really have no idea that we have them and how to participate in them. I'm a marketing professional, and I know just how painful and difficult it is to try and communicate everything to everyone. And so when I saw this platform presented to our commission, I was really excited about it because I understand just how difficult it is to communicate some of these really complicated concepts and complicated plans. And this is a company that is used to working with towns and trying to communicate with a really wide public, specifically around these kinds of things. And so merging web design with climate initiatives can be really difficult communication. And so the fact that they're experts in this and already have so many things set up, I think makes it a really compelling platform as we consider how to better communicate with our citizens. So the other things I wanted to share, I know that data visualization is much better at moving people to action than paragraphs of information or even statistics. It helps people comprehend things faster, remember them better, and then also that's the kind of thing that helps them want to get more involved, to like move those needles. People don't read anything. I can tell you on a day-to-day basis. It's one of the biggest challenges for me. So as many wonderful emails as we send and things that we might put on our website currently, having snapshots that we can share with people and showing progress and showing our initiatives in that format, I think will make a tremendous impact and change. And I think the goal of having it as like a living communications platform where we're communicating real-time things to people is also very motivating for them versus, having communication sent that then people forget, well, what's the, to Christina's point, what's the progress that we're really tracking? It's right there and it's very visual for them. So that's what I wanted to share in terms of, on the marketing side, just how difficult it can be to engage the public if they don't know what's going on and the impact that that's going to have. So thank you.
Sharon Harder, 9133 North Swan Circle. I'm also on the Sustainability Commission. They kind of stole my thunder. But I do want to tell the board that there's been a lot of very thoughtful discussion during the committee meetings about this platform. The best practices have shifted to dashboards. A lot of schools have. It's easy for the consumer to do all different things. It's online, it's interactive, they design and give information quickly, they encourage the committee, and it's also a great way to showcase a platform for the city's sustainability goals. It'll encourage residents to recycle. It'll encourage them to consider the materials used to build and to renovate, how to conserve energy, even what to plant. It eliminates the need to search multiple sources, and it saves time. It also has access to grants and rebates. And also, it gives a red light or green light to all investors in new business looking for green cities. It shows that Brentwood is committed to a sustainable community. KLA is a sound company, so I'm really would like you to think about letting this go on to the board.
Other citizen comments?
Yes, Clayton Keeney, 2654 Dorothy Avenue. I'm coming for the second time just to reiterate some concerns I had about the parking lot modifications at Manchester and Dorothy. They've been doing some work there. Dan had reached out to me about meeting to talk about the situation, but unfortunately, I can't really make it due to where I work during the work hour times that he works. So I thought now was my best chance to say anything about it. So my concern was in the beginning that they were blocking access to stormwater from my parking lot to the storm drain. And I was told just to wait, see how it all tapered out. And it continued on. They just brought in, instead of digging a swale into to where it was, they just pulled the parking lot back, went on the native ground, added dirt. So they added a large berm all the way down the line of my property and just effectively blocked everything. It will do the function of the mud will no longer come onto my property, but my parking lot floods often. And it floods up to a certain amount, then it pours into the storm drain. Now, effectively, you've raised the height of the flooding in my parking lot, the height of the berm, or whatever the berm height was. So I know they said they were going to try to wrap it up on Monday, so I just want to come voice my concerns again.
Thank you, Clayton.
Oh, the dashboard sounds like a great idea, too.
One online? Octavia? Move into reports of committee chair and alderman. My report is to welcome Mike Meyer, representing Ward 4, to the committee. Congratulations. If you have any questions or want to get caught up on anything like that, Okay, I will. All right, we'll move on to Alderwoman Tice.
No report.
Alderwoman Goode.
I've heard some great feedback on the grass at the dog park, so a number of fans.
Alderman Michael Meyer.
No report.
All right. Move on to department and commission reports. We'll start with the Public Works Department. Dan?
Okay. Didn't want it to fall. We have the usual projects on here and a few additional ones, but starting with McKnight Road, the crosswalk, we did get the Ladue side working. That required a new antenna, so we installed that. So that one's 100%. But then the Brentwood side one, it's the modem that's failed. So we tried rebooting it per the technician, tried some other stuff. It does not work what they had suggested. So a new modem is on its way. It'll be here around May 26th. So we still have a couple weeks to wait for it. As soon as we get it, we'll put it in. They claim that that part should restore all the functions on the Brentwood side. The lights, the beacons do work. They just work too long whenever you press it because I can't control the timing. Like I could go down as low as like 20 seconds for them to flash, but it does not work until the other side is communicating again. So as soon as we get that restored, then we'll let everyone know. But like I said, the beacons themselves work, because our only other thought was if we pull power to it, then it won't work at all. But I'd rather it work too long than not at all. So 2832, 2828 Manderley, we did ask for alternate sample blocks. The resident wanted something that resembled stone. What was proposed was a Versalock, concrete block that you can get texture to it and color. But the request was to find something more stone-like. So we're asking if they can find anything. I haven't heard back from them yet. Whenever we do, if we do, then I'll bring a revised quote. But right now, we already have a quote for what we had proposed. Manchester Road, still waiting on the control cabinet. That's on the north side of Manchester, just east of Dorothy. So as soon as that comes in, which they're estimating around June now, then we'll have those lights working again. We do have the 4 lights over by what used to be Circle K. Those, the new conduit and wiring's in. Just waiting for the contractor to energize it. I was going to swing by sometime at night and see if they're working, but they are in progress of getting those energized. And then lastly, there's 2 other damaged street lights, one near the self-storage and one close to the Rock Church. Those are still on order. We're hoping by late May they'll be here and get installed. Hampton Creek is just a MSD project that's a carryover from last meeting. There's no changes. They're still anticipating construction August, September of this year. And that shouldn't really affect residents because it's closer to that Flooring Galaxy and that area of Black Creek and Manchester Road. The next item that's on there is the Webster Groves Trunk Sanitary Relief Phase 2. MSD did award its contract to Bates Utility Company. Portion of that is just east side of Brentwood Boulevard and south of the Metro Garage. So very little of it's in Brentwood proper. Most of it's on the Webster Grove side. And they did apply for permits with planning. And I know in the packet, that timeline is expected to start mid to late summer of 26 and end in fall of 27. So it shouldn't really affect us. The temporary parking lot, we just talked about that a moment ago in the citizen comments, but we still have some grading to do. I know we still have striping to do. There's where the dirt is, we wanted to put sod where it was disturbed. We did actually have to cut out rock that was already compacted that had fabric and other rock underneath it. So that was one of the reasons to haul in dirt, because it was so compressed. We're afraid that water wouldn't actually go anywhere. It would run off the edge and kind of sheet across there because it was so compacted. But we will be going back out there. We switched gears and pivoted and went over to a sidewalk project just so we wanted to meet with the resident and property owner adjacent to it before we put sod down or anything more permanent. And then the other item is Rosalie Avenue. We did finish that. That's Rosalie near Swim Club, that northwest corner, if you recall. Resident was parking on a gravel lot that's on city property. We removed the gravel, put dirt, seed, straw down, redid that corner so you got new ADA ramps. I know the Parks Department's going to come out there and do whatever they need to do with the area, since they'll be maintaining it in the future, doing mowing. And I think that's it.
Jill?
One clarification for the property on Rosalie. Someone stated bushes, shrubs, or trees. The resident has a preference for no bushes. And am I correct in understanding the only thing appropriate there is trees? It would not be bushes?
Yeah, I'm gonna tag team that one, defer it.
Yes, the only thing that the city will put in the right of way is a tree. So the bushes that were previously there were on private property. It was on the homeowner's property. They were moved sometime between 2019 and 2021 based on Google Maps. But the city did not do that work. That was all privately done since those were them. The city, for sight distance, the city does have part of our tree policies, guidelines. We do have a distant requirement, and we won't put in anything 25 foot of any intersection for sight distance to make sure that everyone can see.
Awesome. So easy win there.
Great.
Thanks.
So I have a question for Dan about the concerns about the temporary parking lot. Have you seen the parking lot and seen the concern about the berm being built up too much? So it is sort of getting the water out of our parking lot from what he's describing, then it's backing up on his property. Is there a way that this can be solved so that the parking lot water would go into that low spot and then go toward
I know
the
part of
drain?
the parking lot is higher, so it should flow into the inlet on the north and south. We just need to go out there and confirm. I was going to do that tomorrow, shoot the elevations to see what that true number is. But the main concern was, like, they took some of the dirt and feathered it up to create a lip so that it can't sheet from the parking lot across to the other parking lot, which was leaving the gray water. So it's like you're solving one problem and possibly creating another, but we haven't had any rain since we did the grading. I know it's coming up, we're going to have rain next week, so. And I figured, well, whatever we see from the rain event, we'll rearrange that possibly. I don't want to put any sod down or anything permanent, like I said, till we've figured out what the flows look like. It's under a super heavy rain, I don't think anything's going to stop it from migrating over there, but, and you've got the limited capacity of those inlets.
And I was under the impression that the job was going to be to cut a V ditch in that area to allow the water to accumulate in the ditch and then head to those.
Yeah,
looks
the
like we're
area's
building-
not quite, it's pretty flat through there. There's not a whole lot of fall, so they weren't able to create a true V like the whole length. So the thought was, by creating more of a rolled edge, it's like it would keep it on our property in that grassy area, future grassy area. Right now, it's just dirt. Once we shoot some elevations, maybe we can cut it a little bit flatter. This was just a first attempt at, creating a rough run, so to speak.
And then you've got plans to meet with the resident to,
Yeah, whenever we can. If it's after hours, it's after hours, just to accommodate his schedule.
right.
We're there from 7 to 3:30, but I know, any one of us can stay there late just to make sure that we get this ironed out.
you, Dan.
Okay.
Move on to reports from the Parks and Rec Department.
Yeah, so I had just a few things this month. The first is municipal garage update. We did advertise RFQ. The deadline was today. We received 11 submittals. So we'll be going through those with Navigate and then bringing a recommendation to the Public Works meeting next month. The Brentwood Monument sign, Planning Design Studio is completing their survey work. They gave me a rough outline of schedule, and so as you see, they think the first schematic design will be to the city on June 5th with design development July 3rd, and then final construction documents in middle of August. So again, that project's kind of on the move. Mount Calvary, they continue to work on the documents and the site survey, and really they're working on their analysis of where water is going to run. That's going to take the longest part of that design, is to ensure that all the water's running to where we want it to in all the detention basins. So that's when we talk about a grading plan and cut fill analysis and earthwork, and that's basically the basics of what is going on right now with Mount Calvary. Hanley Park, they're currently doing their no-rise study, and once they get that done, they'll also identify site layout and grading configurations, as well as kind of making sure everything still confirms, or everything still will pass the new building codes. So they hope we should be able to get that completed and construction documents out for permitting and bidding by the end of the summer as well. Last, we talked about the Shakespeare, second to last, we talked about the Shakespeare Festival last month. The fact that they're interested, we did confirm with them. So we are going to be the host of Two Gentlemen Verona on August 25th. So we are extremely excited about that. They also asked if they could, in the fall, they do something called Romeo and Juliet. It is a take off of, obviously, Romeo and Juliet with the zoo. And they basically do lifelike puppets, kind of if you think of The Lion King on Broadway, those type of puppets. And so they're going to bring one or two of those puppets to the pre-show on August 25th as a way to kind of show what that will be and talk a little bit about it. So we'll actually have a little pre-show at our show as well. So incredibly excited about that. As Alderman Tice knows, we've been kind of working on this for a couple of years. So I'm so thrilled that they're coming this year, and hopefully that will be a long partnership with them. And take that good news, the Gateway Fountain. So last year, the Finance Department identified that there was some high water usage at the end of the season. And so unfortunately, when we kind of discovered that it was winter, the fountain was closed, the water had already been drained. And so we were kind of in a holding pattern to figure out what to do. We had a couple conversations with Missouri American Water. And the conversation was, hey, let's wait to see what's happening once we get, once we get into the spring, so we can actually turn on the water. So we did meet on site. We did turn on the backflow, and we kind of shut off everything else to make sure no water was going in. So basically, the water should have stopped. The water continued to run from the backflow and was not getting to the fountain. So the next thing we did was opened up the fountain, and we were able to get it about a quarter filled. And then ultimately, it wouldn't fill. It kind of stopped filling. So ultimately, we feel like water's going somewhere. We try to dye test because basically what happens when it works properly, the fountain, the top area fills up with water and then cascades over into the fountain when you see the falls. And so we did that. We dyed that, and we lost that water, and we never found the dye. And so water is going somewhere. Unfortunately, we need engineers to figure that out. Dan is good. He's not a hydraulic engineer. Is that what Dan told me? So we're in contact with a leak detection company. We're trying to figure this out. But if you don't see any water in the fountain, that's why. And ultimately, typically in something like this, I've dealt with this before. And Clayton at the Shaw Park Pool. It's troubling. It takes a while to find, and then it's an interesting fix. So that's going to be some conversation in the near future about what happens with this fountain and how we fix it. And maybe they find it's really small and simple, and when we fix it, right now we're working with that leak detection company to figure this out.
Questions for Eric on his report? No?
Question about the Hanley Park project. So I know we're still in doing the no-rise studies.
Mm-hmm.
Is there possibly additional parking coming in with that project? 'Cause I've noticed the parking lot's been really full on a lot of days.
Yeah, that parking lot that project is, we call it the Comfort Station and Parking Lot Expansion Project.
Okay.
It'll actually double the size of the parking lot. So if you think about where the current pavilion is in the current bathroom, that current pavilion actually becomes additional parking, and then the bathroom becomes the new pavilion and restroom. So it becomes a comfort station, and that way we're able to kind of expand that parking. So
Awesome. Thank you.
yeah, we're real excited about the additional parking, let me
Yeah,
tell
it
you.
was like basketball and volleyball has started, and I'm noticing the
Yes,
crowds are arriving, which
it
is great.
is needed.
It's very nice, but
It is needed.
No other questions? We'll go ahead, Eric, and move on to Sustainability Commission.
So sustainability first is Switch Together. We talked about this in the commission meeting last month. If you remember a couple years ago, the city partnered with Missouri Botanical Garden on the Grow Solar program. It's basically a way to kind of help residents help residents buy solar by kind of doing this sort of group purchasing model. So basically, Grow Solar brought a lot of people together, said, yes, about 50 people are interested in buying solar. They then would bid it out to see what the best rates they could get, and then they could go back to the residents and say, hey, this is what we were able to find for you. Grow Solar kind of stopped a few years ago, and Missouri Botanical Gardens kind of bringing back a new program. It's very similar. It's just called Switch Together. It's the same thing. It's a group model where basically they'll take people who are interested. They'll go out. They'll get the rates. They'll come back, and each resident will get their own package, and they'll say, hey, this is what we can do for you. At that time, the resident can say, yes, I want to move forward, or no, it's not the right time for us at this point. It's no charge to the resident unless they move forward with the solar panels, no charge to the city. What they're asking is us to be a partner, kind of like we were in Grow Solar. We feel like it's a good addition to the offerings that we can do with the city. So it's our recommendation is to partner with Switch Together.
So I'll just, with my citizen hat on, when we had the previous program, we looked at putting solar on our house, and I reached out to them. We learned a lot, and it really helped us make the decision to do that. And it was really nice to know that it was endorsed by the city, and it kind of and other reputable organizations in town, and made it a really great program. So I would like to make a motion to approve joining Switch Together.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
All right, and now the new one that hopefully Octavia got it reset up for us. And as you heard, we had some more discussion about the sustainability dashboard at the commission meeting last month. The commission members, as you heard, are very supportive of this. Again, they talked about how it got brought back to Public Works and how they could advocate for the implementation of the dashboard.
Rick, I don't mean to interrupt, but
No.
do we know where that's under, Octavia? Is it under the sustainability report? Where is it?
It's in the memo.
Okay, I see it, the last paragraph. Okay, do you see it? Refresh it?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll be honest, my couple paragraphs are a lot not as good as what the three people who got up here and spoke. And obviously, they eloquently kind of talked about why the commission felt it was important. They talked about the fact that it does come from Sustainability Commission with unanimous support, and they do feel it's a worthwhile investment of the funds that have been allocated for sustainability initiatives. Again, I think what you heard is that communication and how we can communicate what is being done is one of the highlights of the dashboard. And I think, again, Annie and Christine and Alderman Harder kind of spoke toward that a little bit more eloquently again than I did in the previous time when I brought this to you guys. But again, it's not only that, but also highlights the work that we've already done. One of the things that we talk a lot about in Parks and Recreation is that we're really bad at celebrating success. And this is one way to kind of do it through the city and make sure that we do it the right way. There was a question that did come up in sustainability that I thought I would just bring up, which is what happens if we move forward and then 5 years from now we decide to stop. And we own everything that gets put on that. So basically, KLA puts everything on a SharePoint that we can then download and then put up ourselves somewhere else if we want to. And we also get a PDF of the full site. So I know if that was a question that I think came up previously. But yes, that's what happens if we move forward and then we stop. We do own everything that goes up on that site. So it is the commission's hope that the committee will reconsider and possibly move forward with a vote and support of the sustainability dashboard.
So thank you. I also sit on the Sustainability Commission and was not here when this was discussed in March. So I have several comments. First of all, we have money in the budget for the Sustainability Commission. This was recommended by staff, so it was recommended by our Parks Director and our Manager of Communication as a good project, which for most things in the budget, that's what we go with. Dan recommends certain streets to be paved. There's money in the budget. Those streets get paved. But this recommendation actually had an additional seal of approval from the Sustainability Commission. It looked at it, asked a lot of good questions, and unanimously supported this. When it didn't get approved by this committee, they talked about it in March, they talked about it again in April, and are thoughtfully bringing it back. Some of the comments that somebody, one of the people made was $14,000 this year and $9,000 ongoing is a small price to pay to energize the community and capitalize on the great work that the committee is doing. That we can do lots of great things in the background, but unless the people in Brentwood know what's going on, then they're not going to also get engaged in some of these things. It would put Brentwood out front as a continued sustainability leader. And finally, one of the things that came out of sustainability that I don't think we fully appreciate is a recommendation from the committee to apply to St. Louis County for money for recycling grants. So in the budget this year, we had $33,600 for paint, electronic and paper recycling. We have paid for that in the past. The committee had the idea to apply for a grant. So we're getting up to $25,000 from St. Louis County to pay for our recycling. So the commission has saved the city $25,000. There's money in the budget that has been recommended by staff and a commission, and I think that we should move forward and send this to the Board of Aldermen for approval.
I second.
That was, yeah. Thank you.
Well, do you have any questions? I would like to at least wait and put this on the agenda for the next month's meeting. I mean, I know Mike's new to the committee. We had all the information there. I just pulled this up as I sat down here for the meeting, that it was going to be on the agenda. So I would just ask a courtesy that we wait till the June meeting, and when we have all the information that was presented before in front of us to discuss it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll withdraw the motion. I think relative to the budget, this is something that has been discussed adequately, and I would feel comfortable moving forward. But if you're the chair and if that's your prerogative, I certainly respect that and would happily wait till next month. Yeah, that's no problem.
I'm not trying to nix the idea or anything like that. I just would like to have all the proper information in front of me before I make a decision again. That was 2 meetings ago. And once again, Mike's new to the committee, so I think that ought to be presented in front of him before making a decision, so.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Octavia, could we get that added to next month's meeting? Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to planning and development. Whitney?
Good evening. The building division, for the month of April, there were 23 new code enforcement cases and 55 inspections. There was a total of 211 new building permits and 964 inspections. LOMO April ended on Friday, May 1st, so code enforcement of high grass and weeds is picked back up. For the first week of May, from May 1st to May 7th, there were 13 new code enforcement cases and 34 inspections. And for building permits, there were 56 new permits and 226 inspections. Business license renewal is also ongoing. They are due by February 15th, and then late fees are assessed after that with new fees added for each month. They're late. So we've had a total of 580 active licenses and 7 issued the first week of May, and 25 are awaiting payments. Expired business licenses that have not started the renewal process are 56. Letters and postcards have been mailed out, and we are in the process of calling each of the businesses to get sure they get renewed. Also, contractor registrations, there were 1,640, and 20 were issued in the first week of May, with 1 new renewal application and 1 awaiting payment. The RFQ for nuisance abatement, we're going to try to get out this week. Given that it's Thursday, it might be early next week. If you remember, we issued the RFQ for high grass and weeds because we were separating high grass and weeds and trash, but we held off on the trash nuisance abatement because we were getting into the 2024 code amendment adoption and reviewing those, so we're going to issue that this coming week. Planning and Zoning Commission met last night. There was only one item for review, and that was 8815 Madge Townhomes, and that was continued to the Site Plan Subcommittee. That is May 27th at 6 p.m., and that is open to anybody that would like to come. The Architectural Review Board is next week, and we have one old business and 3 new business items for review, including a partial addition and to a home, extension of a family room, adding a covered porch at 72 York, tear down of an existing addition and replacing with a larger 2-story addition at 1 Northcote Road, and 9103 Pine, enlarging an existing dormer on the north rear elevation, and new elevations and interior alterations. And then the Board of Adjustment is scheduled to meet on Thursday, May 28th, to review the 8046 and 8054 Lixinger Road, renovation of existing non-conforming structure at 8046, where the repair is more than 50% of its current value. 8054, no work is anticipated at this time. However, they wanted to go ahead at the same time as the adjacent property. They're being sold as one group, so they wanted to go ahead and get that reviewed. Where it's adjacent to it, where a light industrial is adjacent to a residentially zoned property, they require a solid fence. It is 8054 Litzinger is adjacent to Lee Wind Trail Park, which is zoned residential. However, they cannot put in a site-proof fence due to that it's in the floodway. So they are seeking the variance for that. So that's all I have. If you have any other questions. Yeah.
One question, it was in the written report about the firehouse on
Oh,
Rosalie.
yes, sorry.
So the neighbor knows about the withhold and how to access that when the time comes?
Yes.
And
It was the insurance company that, so I'm sorry for the public. There was fire at 8408 Rosalie, and the code requires that the insurance provide 25% of the covered claim payment for damage to a building that is in excess of 50% of the value, so that as escrow, so that if the property owner decides to walk away, the city would be able to make some of the repairs or clean up the site as needed. So the insurance company provided that information, so that check. So
city's holding on to it, and once they get the check when they do finish all of the repairs, or when they finish a portion of the repairs, just,
I think it's when they finish all of the repairs.
okay. It's gonna be a really long project. But okay, good to know. And
Okay.
you've told the homeowner?
Yes.
She knows about it? Okay, cool. Thank you.
I've actually been in that situation a couple of times in different municipalities, and it's not unusual
Yeah.
for them to withhold that 25%. And I don't know where they think you're supposed to come up with the other 25% on your own, but I understand the rationale behind it. So, all right, any other questions for Whitney? All right, thanks, Whitney. Move on to old business. We have 9106 Madge Avenue, the sewer lateral. Oh, yeah, before you run up here, Dan, let's do the consent agenda. It's just the minutes from the April meeting. Any objection to acclamation? All right, we'll approve it that way. Now on to old business, Dan.
This item was brought up at the last meeting. If you recall, 9106 Madge is unique in the sense that its sewer lateral does not run from the front door out to the street like most homes do. Best we can tell, this was probably the first street our first home built on that section of street, and its sewer lateral actually runs out the front door, turns 90 degrees, ties into a clay collector. The clay collector's between the curb and the sidewalk and runs parallel to the southern edge of Madge till it ties in at high school. So I know the technician provided a sketch that's in the revised memo. We did go out there as directed by the committee last time. They did the CCTV work. That was $330, and what that told us was that there's more defects. You know, there's offsets, there's some holes in the pipe, which isn't unusual. You know, this is probably original to the home, which would be 1927. So if it's a 99-year-old pipe that's been in the ground for almost 100 years, they don't expect it to be perfect. The problem is if, you know, you do have a backup, it's roughly 80, 90 feet of collector line that fills up, possibly because there is a tree in the tree lawn, a couple of them, and then it could back up, take a few days, and then finally back up into the basement. I know that the video didn't play for whatever reason in Diligent, but it played for me on my version of PDF. But the technician called out that there's roots. The roots were starting to grow into the bottom of the pipe. They cut the roots out. They didn't charge us for it, but they did cut them out. But he just pointed out it was starting to create a condition that could back up the person's sewer lateral and basement. So we did get a revised quote. The original quote last year was $6,500. The new quote is $5,500. What that would do is dig the 8 or 10 feet down to the sewer main that's in the street, tie that in, and then abandon the collector that runs parallel to Madge over to high school. We, for the heck of it, got a quote for lining it, and that's like triple that because of the length. You know, it's like $18,000 to line the whole pipe. So that's off the table. And we are seeking a second quote to try to compare that 5,500. So the question that we wanted to ask the committee was, would you entertain doing a preemptive repair, or do we just leave it alone, continually monitor it year over year, and hope that there's no problems? If there would be a problem, then clean the problem out. If all of a sudden it fails, then obviously this person's eligible because it's outside and it falls in the parameters of the program. Then it would be the 5,500, and then the person would pay the difference of what, $1,250, you know, because the limit's 4,250. So just looking for guidance.
And so we did this a year ago, they had the issue.
Yes.
And then you just they just cameraed and cut the roots out. So we've actually had roots grow in a year's time into the sewer again.
Yeah, the first defect was like right by the driveway apron. They connected it, didn't realize that, you know, you're connecting into a collector that ran over to high school until it was connected and TV'd because it couldn't get past that point. That was the point of failure. Then in April of this year, TV did see that there's more roots downstream of the repair section and other defects, you know, that either they were there or they've become more visible, more evident.
Could the homeowner apply for the sewer lateral program? And
They did last year when they needed the repair, so now the question becomes, since they're not having an active backup, would they entertain the possibility of connecting to it, and then that mitigates, you know, some future risk because you don't have the line on the collector?
I would it's your ward, but I would entertain doing this. This is a long pipe. There's city trees that are causing the problem. It's convoluted how it goes. There are going to continue to be problems. I would certainly entertain abandoning the old line and connecting into the other, you know, straight out from the house. Because there are trees, and we're going to have ongoing expenses with this.
right, Michelle?
And I'll go ahead and second that. I'm glad we did the $300 to see if it's actually a problem, because I'd rather spend $300 than $500. But if this has already been 2 problems, it's our trees that are causing the problem and our pipe to fix. I mean, whether we do it now or we wait till the price goes up, if it's a problem and it's our problem, I'd rather take care of it if we could.
Mike?
I'd like to take care of it too, because, you know, I don't think it's good for the homeowner to have something back up again and again and again, because the roots are just going to grow back.
Yeah, they cut them out, but they also cut them out last year, and you're
Yeah.
correct, they
And
grew back in
they're
about a
going to
year.
be back every year. you know, so.
So I guess direction, I guess you need to reach out to the homeowner with the bids you have.
Yeah, we left a message so far. We only, like I said, have the 5,500, and if we can get it lower, that'd be great. If not, then at least we know we're at 5,500.
And, you know, for that peace of mind, he's just going to have to come up with the difference, depending on which company he ends up picking to do the work. I want to make sure that he understands that he's picking the company and it's not us doing the work or our responsibility for that work.
Right. Yeah, we just wanted to be proactive and get some prices so that you would see what that difference could possibly be. And it's, right now, in my opinion, you know, 1,250 gives you peace of mind. It's like if you're the property owner, you would pay that, it's done, and at least it's brand new from the street up to the repair work that was already done. And the other stuff downstream, you don't worry about.
All right, I think you have direction.
Okay. I believe I have everything else.
You got the next one? Oh, yeah, you're all over
A
this.
flush.
Excuse
Move on
me,
to 8829 Russell Avenue, is that the next? Or did I-
Alderman Lockmiller. Before we move forward, I believe I had a motion and a second, unless I misunderstood that. It was my understanding that Alderwoman Tice.
I was just talking, and then you seconded
And
my
then she seconded.
comments.
Okay,
So if there's a motion, we haven't voted for it.
all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thanks, Octavia.
8829 Russell, this is the retaining wall at the intersection of Russell and Collier. We did speak about it at the last meeting. So if you were looking at the concrete block wall, the Versalock, its cost was $33,205 roughly, versus a concrete wall, which would be poured in place, $17,283. That difference of $15,922, like I said in the previous one, you know, due to the greater labor hours and time to complete it versus just building forms and pouring concrete. Since we met, the property owner reached out, wanted to know if we would consider form liners, which would basically be a mold within the form to make it look like brick. So I reached out to the contractor. He said that, yeah, you could do that. It takes a little bit more digging to put the forms in to create the wall of the same dimensions. And he said, well, while I'm at it, he's like, you know, it's just going to be gray then. It'll have the brick facade look on the exterior, but wouldn't you want colored concrete? I said, well, give a unit price or a line item for that. So the colored concrete, if you did just colored concrete, $4,900. If you do the form liner, $4,200. So the two combined is $9,100 onto the $17,283. You're looking at $26,383 if you were to make a poured concrete wall look like brick. It's cheaper than the $33,000 and it's more uniform, but it's an enhancement that the committee would need to decide, do you want the enhancement or just leave it as regular concrete?
We have the homeowner here. Chris, would you like to?
All right, so, well, my main objective is to restore the yard to a slope that is manageable for mowing and maintaining. So from the get-go, the man in charge of the project on the site was, I believe, was Pat. He knew from the get-go he could not achieve that 3-to-1 slope, and then proceeded to take off half the yard, which created a botched situation. And everybody kept saying, just see what we can do, which is what they always do, and then they do it, and then it's not right. So, so then, when I heard the cost, I'm thinking, well, they're not gonna go for it, you know? So that's when I thought, well, as far as the Stamp Creek goes, I thought it would be a nice compromise. Instead of a $33,000 block wall, Stamp Creek would be a nicer look for a residential property. So, I guess, you know, that's kind of where I stand, and back to my main objective is to restore the yard to something that's manageable and mow it for mowing and maintaining. And as far as, you know, I know he mentioned the driveway, that as far as that driveway was concerned, I would rather have my old driveway back because it was not too steep, it was perfect. The new one is way too steep, I have to back in to make it work. and, you know, you kind of act as though you gave me something extra, but actually it made it worse. So I guess bottom line is we want to solve the problem, come to a solution, and move on.
Well,
So,
we've
and
got
it
a-
is, you know, it is like one of the houses you first see when you come in to Brentwood from the park.
the addition you put on is very attractive, and it looks
I
nice.
mean, what was there compared to what I've done is, I think, pretty fun, you know, phenomenal, so.
Well, we have a recommendation, and it is due to the poured concrete up to 18 inches
And
at the city cost
Yeah.
for 17 grand. Now, originally you said you wanted stone, so now you're
Well-
comfortable with just doing the mold formed
Yeah,
on that?
that would be nice. I think that would
but
be,
let me-
you
let
know,
me
a
just
nice
ex- Let me
compromise.
just explain, that's $4,200 above what the city's willing to do right now. Are you willing to put in that $4,200 to have that?
No.
Okay.
I guess I could, you know, I can landscape around it, make it look nice enough, but no. Like, my main objective is to make it doable.
Yeah, well, that's
Because
what,
you know, the yard wasn't great to begin with, and this is a mess.
that's
And
what,
it's
we're- that's what we're here
also,
to.
it's like not at the bottom, it's halfway up is where it's most difficult to mow. You know, you can mow across the bottom and it's pretty easy, but, you know, or not easy, but when you get halfway up, that's where the problem is. And that's where you'd like twist an ankle, break your ankle, you know, I don't want to do that.
I understand.
And then also, like, if they do the wall, I'd like to have some control over, like, where I'd want sod, because they may want to landscape alongside the wall instead of just coming in and throwing the sod down, and then I have to tear it all up, and I just want a little more control when the project's done. Because when they put the sidewalk in, I go, this is too steep, and plus the driveway, I go, it's too steep. And he goes, you want me to throw some more rock down? And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. And he goes, well, I have the concrete truck rolling in here in like 15 minutes, and I need to pour this concrete. There.
All right, well,
Well-
we appreciate you being here and coming up, and we'll talk about it a little bit further here.
Okay. Yeah, but, you know, I'd like to come to a solution and resolve it and get going, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. Well, we have a recommendation of doing the poured concrete wall. Anybody want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendation of staff to do the poured concrete wall option.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to 8837 White Avenue.
This item is in your packet. It's for informational purposes. If you recall, at the last meeting, staff was directed to go ahead and adjust the sidewalk and driveway approach at this particular property. It's in the stormwater master plan. It's number 42 for site 42 in the report. So we're in the midst of doing it right now. They've torn out a section of the sidewalk. They're putting in forms. They're rocking it. I believe they poured a small section today, and then we're just going to continue to do it. We've, you know, spoken to the property owners. They've found alternate means to park, you know, on near side streets so they can get in and out whenever we do pour it, because we don't want anybody driving over it till it cures for a day. And I know that planning and development have worked with the property owners to adjust the private side runoff, since they had some downspouts and gutters that were directed right in that area. So we're all working together to get this improved, and the goal would be to finish that up early next week, unless it's raining, of course, and then we can't. But the goal would be to finish it up as soon as possible, and then see how that change has affected it. You know, it's raised, or will be raised by several inches, so that you won't have this bowl anymore. So it should keep the water out into the gutter line of the road and not create a depressed sidewalk area where people have to walk through the water. So no action, but information.
I'll just say that, I'll just say the residents are super appreciative, and the person who lives in this driveway, because so many students walk from, that's along White, from east to west to get to the high school, middle school, he would go with a big squeegee thing and try to get the water out every time it rained, especially in the winter, so it wouldn't get too icy. So they've been good stewards of helping manage this hole, and so thank you for trying to solve it.
Yep.
Moving on to new business, we've got Douglas Court and Mary K. Court, solar lighting.
Yep. If you recall, we did do the survey. The residents on both those streets, Douglas Court and Mary Kay, supported having lights. I wasn't even entertaining AC. I wanted to do solar. We've done solar in other areas. I put in the report, Laverne Court and a couple other streets. We have solar-powered lights. The one on Laverne Court, I originally thought I couldn't find it. I did talk to the vendor. They do still make an SCL2 model as well as an SCL3 model. That's First Light Technologies. Some of the questions I figured some folks might have either on the committee or elsewhere would be, the color temperature, you can get it as low as 2,700 Kelvin, which is, I know, in our city ordinance now, and as high as I think like 45 or 5,000, which I know you don't want. But they do make that particular model. I did look at another model that was by Fonroche Lighting America. Fonroche is the company that supplied the lights in York Village, the more decorative black ones. I can't seem to find that same make and model from them that's in York. They do have some other ones. I don't know, it's a little more modern. It's the Smart Light Bell Epoch, I guess is how they would say it. I know they're from Canada, as were the other ones that we received. I did look at those, got a quote. Each light they're roughly the same height as what we've put in before, anywhere from 14, 15 feet. But they are different in the sense that they have the solar panel on top that's angled, and it does have a cantilevered arm that's more decorative. I would consider it more modern. But those are roughly $5,024 a piece. That's with shipping, handling, everything. The light itself is about $4,000, but then you have the shipping and handling because it's coming from typically Canada or up north. So, didn't know if anyone was interested in that style. I don't want to order anything that creates some sort of objection later. Or do we go back to the Laverne Court light that we could still put in? It's just basically more of to me, it looks like a shoebox almost on the top. It's more rectangular, like a brick. And then it's got, it's all powder coated steel, but
I was going to let Michelle go, but so the former chair of this committee lives on one of these streets, so I reached out to him and sent him the picture, and his first comment was, well, what about the lights in York? Because they look more like the lights that we're putting in other places in the city. So, and I think he shopped the photos with his neighbors on that street, and I think there's more enthusiasm for that type of more decorative light rather than this sort of modern-looking thing. So I don't know if there are other vendors or if that's able to be found. And then it does say 4,000 Kelvin in this.
Yeah, that was the original quote, and I said
Oh, okay.
That's too high.
That's too
And
high. Okay, perfect.
There's no price difference between a 4,000K and a 2,700. It'd be the same price.
Okay.
I did look up when we did the ones in York, those were put in, of course, during COVID. So 2020, they took forever to get. I know we ordered them in 20, didn't receive them until early 21. They were about $7,143 a piece, and that's with shipping and everything. So they're a couple $1,000s more. Like I said, I'll see if there's other vendors out there that make one similar. I know First Light, when I looked on their website, they have one that's like this. It's more modern, but it's solar panels on the top, so it looks more like a post top. I knew one of the reasons why I had something with an arm was because some people complained that if you do the post top, the light's more broadcast outwardly, but that's not necessarily true because you can adjust the photometrics of it. So they can have it broadcast more on one side, more circular, there's like 5 different patterns. So I think you could go with something round. But since you're in a cul-de-sac, I think if it's equal around the whole circle, you're fine. And these do have an app where you can adjust the intensity a little bit up or down, and you can even phase them in and out depending on the time. You don't have to rely on the dusk to dawn. You could actually pick a hard stop-start point if you wanted to.
And keep looking?
So I've heard from 7 different residents on Douglas Court. They call themselves the Douglas Courtesans, which I love so much. Anyway, so I've had 7 reach out. They are pretty unanimous in the wanting the York Village option. Additionally, they talked about wanting soft light. One neighbor was concerned about, and they're in the back of the cul-de-sac, the light coming in, so wanting to make sure it was directional on some level. And then one other concern the Douglas Courts folks have was they wanted to make sure the tree got to stay. There's a tree.
Yeah, there's a small tree, yeah.
They're very passionate, at least.
Yeah, because the base of
they're
it's a
real
couple
passionate
feet.
about the tree.
Yeah.
So they'd love to be able to keep the tree, and they'd like the York Village.
Yeah, and I was gonna push it up as far as possible, like put it a little bit behind the curb, but towards the front of the circle, rather than try to put it in the middle. I don't like the edges because you can tell over time people have rutted it up. They've put rocks to try to stop people from doing it, but
That's what Douglas Court's pretty unanimous. They'd love to look at for a more York option, but I don't think they saw the one where it looks like an overhanging lamp. So there's a group email, and I think almost all the residents are on the group email. If you want to, I'm happy to pass that along to you if you want.
oh, that's fine, yeah.
Shop it to be like, hey, here's light option 1, light option 2.
Yeah, because I'm gonna confirm the costs, and I can do, they have product sheets, product data sheets. I can put those with it, and then you can just kind of see A, B, and C, and,
Back on it. And then Barricade Court is really quiet. They're not really commenting, so they probably would like to keep their tree as well. But not too bright of lights, because I know a couple people don't love.
Yeah, and the ones on Laverne Court, we've had working since 2019, so I mean, we've not had to replace a battery or do anything. I know that the ones I looked at online, they had an 8-year, workmanship, so if something fails, even the battery, they'll replace it within that 8-year period. So, and like I said, and we would put it in ourselves. That's what we've done with the other solar ones. We'll pour the base, mount it, and then, then there's no operational cost once that's in. We don't pay an electric bill, so.
I think understanding the cost would be key too. I mean, I wouldn't put it past, I know I don't want to speak out of turn on their behalf necessarily, but they might do a fundraiser for it, because I think there might be enough passion on at least the Douglas Court group. So understanding like, hey, this is what we can afford. This is we're going to do both, and here's the price points of it. So get options, that'd be great. And
Okay.
as long as they keep their tree. They're very passionate about the tree.
Well, that's great that they're so passionate to do a fundraiser, but I also think like this is a city light, and we have other decorative lights that are both electric and that are Ameren lights, and these other solar ones that look like that. And I know those Laverne ones were really early, and then we moved to a more decorative look. And if we're moving to a more decorative look, then we need to move to a more decorative look and maybe put them in slower, but as we can afford them. But let's.
I don't believe the city's asking them to contribute.
Yeah.
That is very noble of them. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and color-wise, I believe you wanted to stick with black, because that's what the other ones are, like a powder-coated black. You can get other colors like verdigris and, I think stone or whatever they call it, or gray.
Look for those ones like York has, and
Yeah, like I said, those are difficult to find now, but like I said, it was through that same vendor. They don't have it. It doesn't mean that someone else doesn't. So I'll do some investigating and bring it back.
And let's move on to the MSD OMCI funds.
Yeah, if you recall, we started out with just OMCI funds years ago with MSD. They save up the money into an account, and then we can draw down from those dollars for projects that they approve. So they reached out to us, told us that master storm plan, we can get reimbursed for it, up to $125,000 roughly. So I have the contract agreement, but we would need to have this committee favorable opinion to take that to the board, then authorize it at the board meeting, and then I can turn in the invoices and the cancel checks, and then they would pay us in a few weeks that money, which is up to $125,000. So I'm itemizing it right now. I believe it's more than that once I add up everything from Gonzalez. So I'm putting together copies of invoices, and then I'll ask finance for the canceled checks. They did tell me that between the OMCI funds and the Prop S, you've basically got $597,000 balanced. The 125 will come out of that, but then it still leaves us, a few $100,000 to do the bid package one, and then any other design that we look at for, the next package. We did actually put bid package one, there's contracts with that, so then once those are approved and built, then we would turn in paperwork for those, pay ourselves back. But this one's, from a couple of years ago, and then they said that, you could basically turn that in and get your money, so that's what we want to do.
Dan needs a resolution to be forwarded on to the Board of Aldermen. Anybody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Could I ask a question? I know, I support it anyway, but did that money originally come out of Park Stormwater and then it will go back there, or how does?
I checked with finance before this, so she said because it's been more than a year, it wouldn't go back there, but it would go to revenue. So if
But where did we spend the money out of?
we spent it out of capital, it was a 40 something.
So it would go back to capital.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
Do a follow-up question. So this money then can go to those stormwater bid packages to hopefully get those moving forward then?
There's already enough money in there for those. Yeah.
Okay.
No, but your question is valid. It's a discussion for the committee.
My understanding is just these packages have been sitting
Right.
out there for a very long time, so we
Right.
want to.
I think it's something the committee should discuss.
Okay.
Right, thank you, Dan. We'll move on to citizen comment. Anybody want to make a comment in the audience?
I'd like to make one more comment. Clayton Keeney, 2654 Dorothy Avenue. Just after hearing what you guys had to say about it, I would hope that the city would have the idea that no elevation change on a property in the floodplain in the positive would be a good thing. Like, we want to lower the elevation on your property to take the water in. Blocking water coming into your property, if they filled out the floodplain permit application, I would think that they would have had to put on there, is there an elevation change? Or are you bringing in fill? I don't know if that was done or not, or I guess I could find out. So if the storm inlet can't accommodate your runoff, maybe the city should look into lowering the storm inlet a little bit to accommodate a trench that will make it there and not run off into my property. And on another note, just on the sewer issue you guys were talking about tonight, is it now, or does this set a precedent that now anyone can possibly request to have their full sewer replaced? Because it's setting a precedent of doing this now.
Well, I'll answer that question for you. It's not, we're not replacing, we're just connecting him to the new main. So he's on an old connector is what it was called, a defective connector. So we're not replacing his entire lateral, we're just connecting him to the main.
He's not connected, he's connected to a different main though, correct?
Right.
I mean, anybody with any quirk can be like, well, could you please just fix it? I just worry that maybe it's a discussion that this might set a precedent.
Okay. Well, I'll just let it go. Anybody online? All right. Seeing no other business, we're